Loneliness in retirement. It's not just a singles thing. It happens to married people too. What? How is that even possible? I'll tell you how that's possible and also what you can do to combat this. But here's a couple of statistics once I pick up my piece of paper. First for you about loneliness in retirement. First of all, gray divorce, which is divorce over 50 years of age. It's at an all-time high. 36% of all divorces are of people age 50 and plus. 9% is of people 65 and plus. Guys, that's big. Dare I say, huge? For those of you experiencing loneliness and you're married, leave me a comment. Why is that? If you feel comfortable, obviously, doing that. For those of you who are single and lonely, leave me a comment as well. Why is it for you? Again, if you feel comfortable. Around 40, people reach the peak of diversity in our social connections. What does that mean? Think about it. You're in school, college, high school, even at the job. Lots of opportunities to make friends, right? So after 40, those social connection opportunities go down. It's just a fact of life. Loneliness is linked to all kinds of health issues, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and in some cases, talking like you're 16 years old, excuse me, depression, anxiety, etc. Now this is a different one I wouldn't have expected. People over 50 that are lonely are more susceptible to scams. Yeah. Think about it. They're sitting around all day doing nothing. They get someone to call them on the phone. They might just want to talk, right? Kind of makes sense. So, when you're married, how can you be lonely? How does that happen? First of all, if you guys are seeing me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a retirement channel, a windy retirement channel for people on moderate income. If you think you might like that, think about subscribing and like the video as well. And if you really like it, down here, you can buy me a coffee. So how does this happen when you're married? How can you be lonely when you're married? It can be if you feel emotional detachment, isolation, or unmet intimacy. It's a problem, right? Not just when you're retired, but just marriage in general. Just because you're married doesn't mean everything is going great, right? There's always problems. These kinds of problems can create feelings of loneliness in a marriage. Number 2, unresolved conflicts can feel like a barrier between you and your spouse. Now, I'm not married, but I've been in a 21-year relationship, and I get it. Yeah, we try and get our conflicts resolved as soon as possible so this doesn't happen. Sometimes it just happens, right? It just happens. But if you let those things linger, it can create a barrier. It's a barrier between you and your spouse. Yeah, that might cause loneliness. Think about it. Isolation, even though you're married. Number 3, you just might have different ideas of retirement than your spouse does. So what's the answer to that? Talk about it. Talk about it before you retire, guys. It's all about communication in relationships in general. Isn't that what it's about? Communication, compromise. Let's say you want to retire at 58. She's not comfortable with that. Okay, how about I do it at 59, honey? It might work. You know, they might take a lot of these conflicts out of it. What does that do? That reduces your chance of being lonely. Here's another one. If there's more negativity than positivity, it can make you feel like you're all alone. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Some people do, but I think most people don't want to be in a negative relationship, right? All this negativity back and forth. What's that going to do? That's going to, for most people, I think that'll make you go to one part of the house and your significant other go to the other part of the house. Why would you want to be surrounded in negativity all day long, right? What does that do? You're way over here, they're way over here. You're alone a lot of the time. Loneliness can crop its ugly head up then, right? I don't know the answer to that. Therapy? Possibly. Couples therapy? Or it just might be time to get out, you know? Here's another one for you. You might have a very high expectation of support from your partner that is not being met. What does that mean? Some people, to put it in a kind of not too nice way, are more needy than others. Others rely on their partner a lot more than other people might. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the expectation you had going into marriage, okay, then I guess you both know what page you're on, right? You're both on the same page. That could change over time. Someone could have health issues. They could just, by their health, have to rely on their partners more often, right? That can create feelings of loneliness. Your expectations of support are not being met. How do you like this wind? Wasn't windy when I started. I hope you can hear me okay through this. So yeah, those are ways that you can be lonely in marriage, guys. It's not just for single people. It happens to married couples as well. Stop. I'm almost done, please, Mr. Wind. Now, what are the ways you can combat this? Number one, you need to get out of your comfort zone when you're retired and make friends. Okay? You need to make friends outside of your marriage. If you can make friends outside of marriage, guess what? More outlets for you. More outlets for you for communication. More outlets for you for outings that you want to do that maybe your spouse doesn't want to do. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. In my relationship, I do my thing, she does her thing, and we overlap in the middle. You don't have to do everything every single day, 24/7 with your spouse or significant other. Get out there and meet people, guys, especially in retirement. You get all the time in the world. If you're an introvert, I'm kind of an introvert. I need to force myself sometimes to go out there and meet people. That will increase your social circle so you can go out and do things that maybe your spouse doesn't want to do with you. That'll definitely decrease loneliness. What's another thing? Join groups in your area. Even Facebook groups. Hey, I know it's online, but I have a texting group. We go back and forth every single day with five guys, I think, total. That's social communication. Not as good as face-to-face, but it helps on a daily basis. It helps. I'm up here on my own for like a couple weeks at a time during the month. It helps, believe me. I don't sit around all day going, oh my God, I'm so lonely. No. I know it's not as good as face-to-face, but it works. Facebook groups as well, or just online communities. Keep in touch with your family. Even if you're not close to them geographically. In retirement, you have all the time in the world. Why not take some of that time and use it to keep in touch with your family, you know? Have a weekly FaceTime call, even more than that, you know? I mean, there's so many ways that you can just get out of your loneliness rut when you're married, and it's a positive thing, right? Doesn't have to be a negative thing. You're not totally excluding your partner. You're just doing some things on your own, and maybe you can bring them into it. It just increases the chances of you being socially active, which definitely helps with loneliness. And the last one I have for you, and I totally believe in this. I've always believed in this. Therapy. If it's come to the point with you and your spouse that you actually feel lonely in your relationship, I think it's time to seek out therapy. For those of you older than I am, a lot of the older generation frowns on therapy. I'm here to tell you it has worked wonders for me over the last, let's say, 30 years. Off and on, I've been in therapy. You know, I'll go years at a time without it. But then if I go through a bad stretch, I go into therapy. It helps, people. It helps. So there's some ways to get out of loneliness in retirement, guys. It's not just a singles thing. It happens more to single people because they're on their own all the time. But it can happen in marriage as well. Don't let it happen to you. Learn to read those early warning signs, the things that I just told you about. that can happen to a marriage. If you see that happening, reach out, make other friends. If it comes down to it at the very end, go to therapy, or even before then, if you started in the beginning of a problem. There's nothing wrong with therapy, guys. It's a very healthy way to work through problems. I'm all for it. Think about it. And as always, from the lovely high desert, where I'm back to my 16-year-old voice, we got this.